The Court of Public Opinion is a part of the Amateur Radio Network. I would definitely extend grace to those people, and I want to introduce all of you to Judge Barbie, okay? Because right now we need some representation at the when it comes to the highest level of government. We got 3 branches of government. We got a judicial branch. We got a legislative branch. I like to know what's going on with the lawbreakers and lawmakers, or whatever they call themselves. That's the truth, and I'm not afraid to say it, because they are breaking the laws on a consistent basis. A lot of them don't belong in there, okay? And that's why we ask for our representatives to step up, okay? It's a big responsibility to ask law-abiding citizens to leave their private lives to serve publicly, okay? But what we're seeing in the Capitol Hill right now is that they're still arguing whether they should take rights away from Americans. The problem is, and the reason why the Civil War existed to begin with, is once you start taking Americans' rights away, you're either a slave or you're not. And that we've learned those lessons in history, okay? And what's going to happen is, if you're trapped in a welfare system, it is like being a slave. You're either going to enslave the people or set them free. And if you complain that these people don't meet the income bracket, personally, you're subject to one another as a country. You better look closely at what's going on in your communities. Because if you're one of those people that watching the debt accumulate in your home, watch what happens when you start forcing people into situations right now where they can't feed their children, okay? Some people make choices, okay, that got them there. That's one thing. But it's another to take and rob the rights away from Americans that didn't have to me, taking Americans' rights away, that would include the Second Amendment. But to me, it's an oppressive system. When you get into welfare, okay, you're going to have to work 20 times harder or 10 times harder. Not that I'm complaining, because many of us have to work our way out of a hole. Some of us got ourselves in there, but most of us did not, okay? It's called generational welfare, okay? And this is what was passed down to us. And the problem is that what was passed down to us, you're going to pass it down to your kids. And the only way to change that is when we decide as people, we're not passing down another welfare system to our kids. We're not going to pass this down. See, that was passed down to us. We didn't have an inheritance. That was robbed from us. And I'm telling you personally, my property and my family and my inheritance was robbed from me. Okay? You know what my family gave me? Well, you know what they passed down to me? Welfare. Okay, that's not the way it is. And that when people identify what's going on in their lives and why they're in the situations they're in, only look at the high treason and robbery that goes on and the thieves, okay? All you have to do is look around you and see who's taking advantage of who, okay? You can get a better picture, okay? So when I see politicians going up there, they're concerned about taking Second Amendment rights and implementing universal background checks. That tells me that something's going on the global stage. They're going to implement their plan. And what is happening is President Trump, who they want to call him a white nationalist. The problem is what we're going through as Americans, we're either going to be slaves or we're going to be free. Okay, because what I hear is that they're going to start taking the gun rights away from Americans, and the president's not trying to do that. See, the president's actually trying to preserve the Constitution. Okay, and what we have is a bunch of globalist elites are afraid that once you give the authority back to the people, okay, and the people right now are in control, but the power and control is a delusion to the elitists, because the thing is, they seem to recognize that if the only way they're going to be able to keep the control they have is to enslave people. And if we're free people, and I'm pretty sure we are, because I know I am. I'm a free American. I serve my country. And the thing is, they've already taken all the rights they could possibly take away from me and my family. Okay? Where you're going to learn to fight, and you're going to fight, and you're going to win. Because I'm going to tell you, most of us who put the uniform on, we're going to certainly die in honor. We're not going to wear our uniform and be afraid of the passing arrow that comes by day. Okay? We are protected, and we are unified in one thing. We got Jesus Christ. You know, the thing is, the difference is people need to identify who they are in Jesus Christ. And right now, what we have going on in America, if you're not recognizing that this war is against Christianity and the values that kept America really established what this country is, then you really don't understand the battle you're in front of, okay? Okay, it's not the war between your friends and family, but it will come to that, because I believe this is what's going to happen in America. It's going to turn into a civil war. If we don't recognize who's in control, and listen, there are definitely a lot of players involved, okay? Now let's go to this report. This is where I end it. Craig Sawyer is a Marine U.S. Navy SEAL. He just had his funds confiscated. Now think about that. Who confiscated them? Did the government do that? No. Did an NGO? Possibly. I don't know. But I will say this, okay? When they start confiscating donations that were given to him by the public, I hope everybody pays attention to this story, okay? The problem we see in America is that when we elect a politician, we want politicians to represent us as people. And we also want our friends and family to be on equal ground. You know what makes it dangerous? You know what makes it dangerous for each of us? We don't know who is on our side and who's not. And that's why Americans today, you got to identify who you are and where you stand on these issues. Because I can tell you, there's no room for betrayal and treason anymore. I have to tell you, this country has been taken advantage of in ways it's just incredible. The treason is incredible. And the one thing I know as an American, you don't want to be involved in treason, okay? Because you know what? At the end of the day, when you're treasonous and you're robbing your people and you're robbing your friends and family, you're never going to find yourself on the good side of people. You're not going to be trustworthy. And I have to tell you, when somebody's ripping somebody off and stealing and lying, I'm going to tell you, you can't trust a liar or somebody ripping you off or doing things behind your back. Okay, that applies to marriage. That applies to a lot of things. That applies to your job. I would not want to hang anything on somebody I know cannot be trusted. Okay, so right now the politicians have an opportunity to do the right thing. And I'm going to tell you, if they keep ripping off the people and stealing off the people, it eventually comes to this. That explains why they would want to implement the universal gun restrictions. Somebody's covering their butt, okay? There are a lot of people seem to be covering their butt, and that's the whole thing about the government servers and things like that. The reason why they have these protocols in is because not for the mere perfection of somebody getting in trouble, because of the danger it is to national security. I mean, when you start prying into people's personal lives, whether it be NSA or TSA, that becomes a very big issue. As individuals, as Americans, we don't want to wake up and know that the NSA is inside our phone. I have to tell you, I bet you for all of you, the NSA has been listening more than just your phone calls. Probably when you're with your, boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, okay? They're probably listening in. I just want to tell them thanks. It's nice that you had a free show. But at the point that we are at right now, your privacy matters. And the thing is if your privacy doesn't matter now, it will. I'm going to tell you, there's coming a day. If you're turned over to these things, you ain't going to have rights. Your children aren't going to have rights. You're going to be watching your children. Heck, they can take your children away. It happened to us. I'm telling you. I'm telling you firsthand. You don't know who you might have pissed off. Do you get what I'm saying? When they start taking your children away and they take your home away, you have nothing. I will tell you firsthand. Whoever is doing things behind each other's back, you better stop, man. You don't want to be stealing anybody's home or property and robbing them of their family. Thank you for listening to the Court of Public Opinion.